New York carries, right, the party here, but she switched just for the fact of that to get her vote because she knew an independent vote is. You got to do studies on it. I'm not telling you not to do it. It does give you a lane.
Right.
It gives you your own lane, but you gotta, if you're gonna do that, then you gotta make sure if they gotta switch over. That's another to do. You gotta do this paperwork. You gotta switch over so you can vote for me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you gotta.
So are you sure that we're not doing the other show today, Bob?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we can do that next week.
I told him. Go ahead.
So I gotta do my research. The way I thought is, if I'm good.
I'm gravy. No, thank you.
Yeah, I gotta think about that.
Look into it.
I'm gonna look into it. We're gonna find out exactly what the details are.
Patrick was gonna do that when he got kicked off. He was considering running independent.
I know you gotta get more signatures, but if you gotta actually make people switch over, that's a lot of work. If they could vote, if anyone could vote for the candidate in the regular election, then I'll do it. But if I gotta convince people they gotta leave the party,
That's all you gotta find out.
right? Then that's a lot to ask.
Then look at your path. And you gotta remember, Democrats stay in their lane.
Yeah.
We don't really. So that means you gotta get a whole nother caption into you as an independent and why switch.
Right.
Just do your research before you do that.
Yeah.
Because they're always looking for somebody viable, right? Or just somebody to bump up.
Right.
You gotta also look at that.
Yeah.
In a sense, they're independent and they wanna get somebody in.
I mean, someone running gives them props. You know?
Thank you. That's what it's about.
I definitely
But they
that.
know you're valuable, right?
Right. I'll tell you, boy. Now, the other thing, if you guys or anybody that want to be a fundraiser, we're hiring. And we're giving up 50% of all the funds they raise for the campaign.
What is Homeboy's email address?
Correct? Mm-hmm. I'm not sure. You know what? You sent him a different link?
Yeah.
A new link.
Mm-hmm.
I did tell him in the email that if it is, we'll let him know as soon as possible.
Yeah, I told him, I called him and said, we're going to probably send him another link. He has one he had.
You could set up your stuff on. I'm streaming now to the page.
You doing what now?
I'm streaming now to the Facebook page now, so you can set up.
You are?
Mm-hmm.
It's 3:39.
Yeah, I got a countdown clock up.
So they can see us now?
No, they just see the clock.
Okay.
Did you get a notification? I just figured this would give you all time to set up your watch parties.
I don't know how to do all that.
Or just share it. Yeah. So I just.
Okay.
CB.
BOO.
Oh, CBOO.
THE.
THE. 22.
at gmail.com. I got into the bathroom. You'll switch the chairs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, I got it. Yeah, I have a notification. Yeah.
Rock said he moving on up. He said, I got a clock.
Yeah, I got a countdown.
I'm doing new things now. I told you, one of the fishing today, boy, we rocking it all.
Yeah, I got a new program from the old one that I was using. So it's allowing me to do a lot more things easier. Like I had to, when I had a countdown clock before, I had to make it.
Right.
Now it kind of comes as a plugin.
That's nice though. That's real. So how does that work if you're on Facebook? You sitting at home and when you see it on your phone?
You see that? You see this? The clock.
As a live on your live.
Now, do you think we should be going at 20 minutes or 10 minutes?
No, because we popping on at.
Exactly 4.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm saying, well, getting people ready. Mm-hmm. And all of this is live streamed before. Now, does the clock still, when the show comes on, the show is included with the clock?
The clock goes, and then
it
it'll
goes
be,
away, but is when people are watching it.
Will it be like a clock, like saying how long we up for, or like a time clock?
Right. So would it say we were there an hour and 20 minutes?
No.
Okay, yeah, that was something I was concerned with, okay. Because if not, I would say do it at 10-2, you know what I mean, so it's not so much overlap, but people probably like, oh.
No, the
This
question
is
is,
new. They probably like, what the hell is going on now?
I'm like, why did the Zoom freeze?
Now we're gonna have some NBA ball players checking it out. I know Ice Reynolds is probably gonna be looking at it. He played for the Milwaukee Bucks. Should be interesting.
You see, I sent the apology out, right? For the link the other day to tell them.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. I said maybe Bob might get busy, so I was like a half hour late. I said, let me just put this out. So, but they can jump in, nobody. He'll get the signal, like the notification that people are in his room, but the room is not going to start. 'Cause
Okay.
he's not gonna start it. So, all right.
Jacket look all bright. Got diamonds on. So you sent it to Craig and call. You sent it to him?
Yeah.
You call him right now. Make sure you got it. Hello, Craig. We sent you another link. Did you get it? All right. Yep. That's it.
What's up, young
All right, we're
man?
gonna use that one.
I wanted to ask you for something to help me with your checks.
Yeah.
No, because we're not. You're gonna be the only one on Zoom. We was gonna have a bunch of people join on Zoom. That'd have been a bit much. You know, so we just have you on Zoom. Other folks just would chime in on Facebook. Yeah, Facebook Live and streams on a whole bunch of other platforms. So it'll be good exposure. Great exposure. All right, we'll see you in a bit. All right, cool.
Yep, that's good. Yeah, so you only get that once in a while. Yeah, I'll do it
This
tomorrow.
is a teacher at one of those elementary schools.
Okay, I'll order for tomorrow.
Oh, okay, thanks. How's everything?
Pretty good yourself?
Very good, thank you.
Hanging in there, man.
This is the back.
I can't open it. So
Yeah,
it's,
there's all of
I was
them.
trying to press it, but yeah. So petition is on it.
So who teaches your class while you were here?
Hmm?
Who's teaching the class?
He was.
That's when you're in Sharpers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. How do you get your people? You advertise and people just how do people get how people find out about you?
Oh, we have stuff up on the American Heart Association website that says that what we're doing. Let me get a mic check.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, good.
Craig Booth.
I don't hear. Okay.
And the man.
All right. Hey, Craig.
Yep, we in the building. And get that up a little bit. Hey. Yeah, the One Nycha Show. We here every Sunday at 4 o'clock. And I guess this Sunday we actually started on time. So that was kind of cool. I wasn't mad at that. We introduced a new countdown clock. Try to give you all time, early notification. Yeah, we got a great show. Stay tuned. Get your watch party started. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend, and tell a friend. Hey. All right, we got a healthy stream. Not really sure what's going on with Zoom now. That's a little kooky. Hey! It froze. Mr. Boothbox, are you moving and aware and all of that? Or are you frozen too? Good, you're not frozen. Okay, I just needed you to move. I know we can't hear you yet. We frozen though. I guess because it's cold outside, so we froze. But we still got you. All right. What happened, Stan? Let them donate. It wasn't calling the number anyway. I'm promoting. You know what I'm saying? We're going to keep it going. I'm going to crack the mics, y'all. Yeah, so we open. It's the One Nycha Show.
One Nycha, One Nycha.
Yeah, we in the building.
Yeah. This show is being recorded as usual. Word up. 1, 2, 3, and bomb.
Yeah.
All right. Once again, we're going to welcome to the One Nycha Show, and we are here in the building, and we actually started on time. And I know some of y'all ain't accustomed to that. Y'all be like, I can tune about, 4:20 or so, because we know they don't really sign on. But today, we are on time, people.
Right on time.
Oh, my thing's okay. Hey, what's up, Monica Underwood? I see Monica Underwood popped in the building. Steve Lightsey popped in the building.
Steve.
Robert Scott Sr.'s in the building. I see you. You know what I'm saying? And make sure, y'all hit the chats or whatever. We got some new technology going on here in the room. And, it's been a big week. This week, I just been kind of working on the studio and using the new software. So right now we are streaming live to Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube Live all at the same time. So that's kind of like a new thing that I've been doing, you know what I'm saying, to try to expand the brand, in the next couple of weeks, probably by next week, really, we're going to start like running actual commercials and stuff.
Okay.
So, like at 15, we run a commercial, like commercials.
Okay.
Right? And we're going to start doing stuff like that and we're going to bring it more TV.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I want to do more TV, you know what I'm saying? So we're going to do that. And other than that, my week has been sort of uneventful because I've been down here in the dungeon really just trying to improve the situation. And, I feel like we've mastered what we've done. Right? Now it's time to elevate.
Absolutely.
And I know some of y'all might have caught it. I did a commercial for the Real Discussion with Rock Logic that I ran. So we're going to start doing like promotion, right? Okay. So we'll do a commercial that will run for a week before the show.
That's how you do it.
On what we're doing, you know what I'm saying? Right. So we'll do that, and then that's kind of new things that we're doing here at Boardwalk Global Media. Saundrea Coleman, what have you been up to this week, my dear?
Hey, greetings all. It's good to be back in the building. We had a week off, so just give you some quick updates on how my last 2 weeks were consolidated. A normal check-in on seniors, neighbors to ensure they have enough PPE supply on hand. On Thanksgiving Day, I received a call from the Isaac Center that they had an abundance of meals left over that were prepared. I grabbed my shopping cart and I ran out to deliver some meals to residents. Finished that up in a few minutes and then went back upstairs to finish my cooking. This week, Thursday, that just passed, I had an initiative with the council member, Ben Kalos, and the Isaac Center. We were passing out PPE in our courtyard. And then that evening, the Homes Isaac Coalition had a very productive virtual meeting.
Beautiful.
And informative with our attorneys from Take Root Justice. Shout out to them, our comrades from the Justice Center in Old Barrio.
Yes, sir.
Executive directors and staff from the Isaac Center, some residents, and we have representation from Chelsea area as well that support Fulton Houses. So, and shout out to Fulton
Great.
Houses because they had an action today as they're fighting against
gonna give it up to
privatization
them.
in red.
Yes.
So that's a good thing. Today makes 188 days straight for the US for BLM Visual.
Y'all are doing that.
Still.
Yeah, which we started on June 2nd.
Right. I want to know, is the attendance still like heavy? You guys still in good
Sometimes
attendance?
it might be 30, 40. Sometimes
That's
it might be
great.
20, but it's okay.
It's going.
Still there, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
That's dedication and
Yeah.
that's strong.
Since June 2nd. So
Yeah, nice.
still going on. That's at 7 p.m. nightly. At Carl Schutz Park, East 86th Street and Eastern Avenue. That's in Manhattan, and I am one of the organizers. Lastly, I would like to highlight a part of our show that we will be doing called Where Are They Now? And that's going to just showcase some candidates that we have, because we bring candidates before you. So we only have one to report on as of now that showed up because they were in the 2020 election for the Assembly District 76, which was Patrick Boblin. Sadly, he got kicked off the ballot and he wasn't able to, he wasn't even in the, he was on the absentee ballots, but not on the regular ones when you went in to vote. But with that said, that happens, and keep your eyes out for the 2021 elections, which are big. And I just want to also highlight, keep your eyes on the Georgia race. Democrats, we definitely, if you're a Democrat, you want us to retain those 2 seats, get those 2 seats, and that the tiebreaker would be no other than the Vice President-elect Kamala Harris.
Isn't that something?
So that's it.
And just so y'all are clear, right? If you want Joe Biden's presidency to go well,
Yeah.
then you want to make sure that you help
Yeah.
him. You know what I'm saying? By voting.
Yeah.
To get control of the
So,
Senate.
shout out to Georgia, y'all doing it. So
Yep.
that
They
was
going hard.
That was my week and a half, 2 weeks.
All right, let me check on my man Stan Morse, but I mean, just as a disclosure, I'm wearing a shirt and it's pronounced Phuket.
Okay.
Cool. Okay. I just want to make sure you
What does that
understand.
mean?
That is a town in Thailand.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
And it's called Phuket.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, all right. 'Cause
Yeah, okay.
I know some of y'all read the
Yeah,
shirt and going,
okay.
"What kind of shirt is that he's wearing?"
We know what it say.
All right, we gotta get clear. It says
We know what it says.
it says Phuket.
Yeah, but you're wearing it, so we know what it says.
So, Stan, yeah, man, what's going on, man? What's happening this week? How's the campaign going?
The campaign is going well. Big shout out to my man John Coleman and some of my friends from college. My coach reached out to me, and my man Pete Reinke, who I went to school with. So we going to have a fundraising initiative with a lot of my college folks, college friends. So I'm very excited about that. A lot of them are here in New York City doing big things. So I'm looking forward to raising a lot of funds with my college friends. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Great.
But as for the work, the organizing work, we're going to be pursuing our lawsuit against Queensbridge North. So the attorneys, Robert Sanderman, is now contacting residents to really put that together. Then once the lawsuit happens against Queensbridge North, we're going to sue Queensbridge South, also Ravenswood and Astoria. And so
I'm so mad right now.
Why?
Because I had that piece we was on TV.
Oh, yeah, with Monica Morales?
Yeah, when you was on Channel 11 this week.
Yeah, I was.
I was going to play that before the
I
show.
have it on my phone. So maybe,
Tell us about it.
Go ahead, please.
Well,
that was
Monica,
incredible.
she came because unfortunately there's folks in Queensbridge that don't have heat.
Right.
So I wasn't really planning on being on TV. Monica was there doing the story. And one of the residents just said, hey, Monica's over there. You should go over there and talk to her. So I went and spoke and kind of let folks know again that during the pandemic, it is outrageous that people are living without heat, and also people without gas.
Yes.
So how is it that you expect people to survive You know, when they live in apartments, they're really uninhabitable. You know, so we was able to talk a little bit about that, and this is the reason why we're having the lawsuit. And I want to say to Greg Russ, if you're listening, anybody from NYCHA, your pilot program is not working. You know, I've been to Astoria, I've been to Ravenswood, I've been to Queensbridge, all these places where they say the program is taking place, where they're supposed to have skilled workers, and it's supposed to be better now, where a resident can go into an office and really get an appointment. So they said to get something done. But I've gone down there with residents, and it's the same old runaround. Wow. They tell residents we're gonna call you, but they don't call. You know, so folks are still sitting there and not getting the repairs done. So Greg Russ, the mayor, the governor, your program is not working. I can tell you straight from my own view, myself. You know, so we're gonna be moving forward with the lawsuit to really hold them accountable with that. Good. And I also want to let folks know we're having a big meeting tomorrow night on Zoom. So I'm gonna read out the number. The Zoom number is what is it here? It's 929-436-2866.
Say it again.
929-436-2866. The meeting ID is 862-3944-3810, and the password is 892-114.
We could drop it in the chat.
Yeah, we can drop it in the chat. The reason why we're having this meeting is they're moving forward quickly with this blueprint. Right. You know, and they're really trying to put an end to public housing, you know, directly. You know, and this. If it goes forward, there's no going back. But if this is to go forward, and they're trying to really do it by next year, it appears, then there will be no more public housing. You know, so we're going to have a teaching where folks can get involved and understand that the way to stop this is through your state senator. So Mike Gianaris and Costa, who's in my district, if you're watching, we're coming for you. You know, because the state senators can kill this and keep it from moving forward.
Robert Rodriguez.
Right. So we're going to be calling out state senators going forward. So everyone, whether you live in NYCHA or not, now you can be in this fight because you could pressure the state senators to not vote for this blueprint. And for those that don't know, the blueprint is really the privatization of NYCHA. They may call it something different, or they're trying to fool folks and make it seem like it's a public thing, but no, it's privatizing NYCHA. And we do not want that. We don't want to go down that road. What we want is for people to really fully fund NYCHA as they should. That's really what should be happening. Instead of all these schemes and scams that they're coming up with, they always kind of leave us out. So we're going to be fighting. Join us. Whether you are a NYCHA resident or not, we're going to have Kristen Hackett, my co-campaign manager, is going to be doing the teaching. Very knowledgeable, you know, so we want you guys to join. And last but not least, on the bottom of the screen, if you want to donate to my campaign, the information is there. You know, and I just say for folks, all those who are running, it's a challenge. You know, so I take my hat off to everyone that actually into the race to run because it's difficult. You know, and now that I'm in it, I can tell you how difficult it is. You know, so for those who are watching, definitely donate to the campaign so a grassroots campaign can have a chance to win in this city, and we're gonna win.
All right. Fair enough. Shana-Kay.
Who's that lady?
Right, what's happening? You're the number one intern. You're the number one NYCHA intern.
Absolutely.
Forever.
Field reporter.
I love it.
Field reporting. How's everything going? How's your week been?
Hey guys, how you doing? My week pretty much was, different. Like I was working closely with Stan this week. He asked me to be his independent contractor on his campaign, so I'll be in charge of getting funding and just finding different avenues to enhance his campaign. Also this week, just to touch on when he said that he went to the management office and we had a discussion with one of the sub landlords that was there. He was pretty much just saying that because Stan asked him about that blueprint program, and he's new, so he was pretty much just gathering his bearings around to it as to he didn't get any much information on it as yet, but then we was just pretty much talking to a tenant who she been living in the building for 30 years and she still haven't gotten the appropriate fixtures. So that's my concern. That's like what Stan just said just now, that we need to make sure that certain things get done for them. It's getting cold. They have to be in a safe space.
Got you. Okay, well, cool. All right, so now we know what's going on. And that has been the week, and that's what it is. And now it's time for us to get down with the show.
Yes.
Right? And we have a special guest. Stan, who's the special guest that's coming on? You can do the introduction.
Absolutely. The special guest for the day is my good friend Craig Booth, who is putting together an amazing documentary called Ball Side Middle, which shows and talks about the basketball era of 1975 to 1985 in Brooklyn, where a lot of folks came out and went to the NBA. A lot of folks went to college like myself. But more importantly than that, it really brought a community together. We had Mike Sr. on the show a couple of weeks ago and Larry Williams. So we kind of talked about how it was in Lafayette Gardens, but Craig is talking about the entire borough of Brooklyn, you know, and all the stars that came out, but really the community building that basketball was for a community.
Well,
So
just to give you a quick update, Rodney Jones says Queensbridge North, 40-04 12th Street, no heat right now.
wow.
So that's happening right now.
This is insane. You know, so actually, I'm actually call Monica again. You know, that they said it was sort of resolved, but obviously it's not. So
Ridiculous.
we're gonna have to keep pressuring them to find out what's going on.
Pathetic. We gotta go to the media for
Yeah,
help.
yeah.
You know, it's crazy.
So Craig, yes, again, so Craig is.
Craig, what's up, man? You sitting there quiet.
So go on, Craig. Tell me about the documentary.
You know, I'm multitasking. I got the Giant game on right behind you.
Are we winning? The Giants win or losing?
Nah, we down 3-0, and you know,
Oh Lord.
good defensive stop at the end against Seattle, but it's going to be a tough game for us.
I don't know why y'all have these high hopes for the Giants. I don't
Well,
understand.
they in there, though,
It's like being a Mets fan. You know what I'm saying? Like and you're disappointed.
Yeah.
You're just like being disappointed at the end of the season.
I'm trying to keep my hopes up. Trying to keep my hopes up.
Gotta, you know, I don't live in New York City anymore, so you know I got to keep my New York flavor all day long. So watching the Giants, the Jets, the Mets, the Yankees, the Knicks.
Okay.
Oh, not necessarily saying I'm a fan, but I respect it. You know,
You're a
it's
New
New York,
Yorker.
so I gotta watch it.
Yeah.
I got you. I shout out for that.
Respect.
We're gonna get up for that, man.
So Craig, tell everybody about this incredible documentary and why you decided to do a documentary documenting the basketball era of 1975 and 85 in Brooklyn.
First and foremost, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Listening to just the opening and what you guys are doing as far as being involved in the community and really concerning about the community. And this format and this ability to stream in multiple ways is commendable. So I like to, you know, one, thank you. And then secondly, you know, just give you your props for what you're doing. And Stan, you know, I pray and hope that you are victorious.
Thank you, brother.
You're seeking out to be, I thought it was because you're a Brooklyn guy, but you know, New York is New York.
New York is New York. Always Brooklyn, though, but that's correct.
I like that you're zeroing in. Regarding the documentary, it really it's something I've never done before. I've authored a book about 7 years ago, and the book was a little bit about my life growing up in Brooklyn, and I just wanted to cement sort of what happened in my life, because you know you go to someone's funeral and they're going to tell their experiences with you. So I said, well, let me tell my own experiences through a book. And so my high school coach told me I didn't go deep enough into the basketball, because I'm a basketball coach, I'm a referee, I'm a former player, college player, just like Stan. So my coach said, you know, what about your basketball life? You really haven't talked about it. And he was a little, you know, disappointed that I didn't go deep. And so I was getting ready when COVID hit. I said, this is a perfect opportunity. Let me go ahead and write the book. And then my daughter and her friend, who are filmmakers, and they've done documentaries and different shorts and different things of that nature, said the odd part about this era that I'm focused on, which was pivotal, 75 to 85, was there was nothing really on film. And they said, if you're going to talk about that history, then you should film it. And you should, you know, do everything in your power to recreate that history or tell that history through film. And then that way, the legacies will be more cemented. So that was the sort of introduction into filming, but I didn't know whether or not a film would be of interest. So I did, you know, a Facebook documentary page just to see who would be interested. It's like a proof of concept. And man, that Facebook page blew up to a culture. I mean, it opened up a community. It opened up, you know, I always say it like awakened everybody, opened up Pandora's box. The next thing you know, everybody's talking and sharing pictures and stories and just excited. And it just energized the whole project. The challenge was, of course, it was COVID and we needed to interview people. So, you know, we took our prayers and got on our knees and prayed, and we came out to the community. And we started filming in June, and we completed filming probably sometime in October. But it started out as a 1 hour documentary, and as the content built, is now a 4-hour documentary, 4-part series.
Awesome.
And so, why that particular era? One, it wasn't filmed. Two, it was the most successful era of basketball players from Brooklyn reaching to the highest levels, the NBA. But then also, it was a very important era because we had so much adversity growing up. One, there was something called desegregation busing, where we were all bused from out of our communities. At the time I was bused, I lived in Flatbush, and then I moved to East New York and continued to be bused. Busing involved us going into communities of hate. They did not want us there. We were called niggas every day. We were jumped. We were chased home.
I just want to ask you, what community were you bused to?
So I was bused first to Roy H. Mann Junior High School, which is right behind Kings Plaza.
Okay.
So I had to take 2 buses from.
And what neighborhood is that?
Excuse me?
What neighborhood is that?
That's called Gerritsen Bay, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called today.
Yeah,
But
okay.
we went out there and filmed. We did go out there, and the community right now is probably it's a biracial community. A lot of Russian people live out there now. But it's if you went down Flatbush Avenue to Avenue N, and then took Avenue N way out, not another 2 miles out, you would be right in that community, Roy H. Mann Junior High School, I-78. Then in high school, I was bused from East New York to South Shore High School. And so those years from 12 years old to 17 years old, I dealt with some racial elements that was really, really scary, but I wasn't the only one that was experiencing that. You know, we talk about the community, and this is important for the documentary, is that the lack of investment in our educational programs or education. Brownsville not having a high school back in those days. And you had over 50,000 people living in Brownsville with no high school. You also had just in Bedford-Stuyvesant, you had 2 high schools, Alexander Hamilton Boys and Girls High. And then in East New York, you had 1 high school, and that was Jefferson. And well, you had Maxwell too. So you had 2 high schools. But on the boys' side, you only had 1 high school. So you're talking about communities, if you put those 3 communities together, you had about 600,000 people with about 4 high schools. I live in a community here in Virginia with 120,000 people, and we got 5 high schools.
Wow.
So it just shows you that there was no intent to invest in us and build schools in our communities. So they bust us, and the busing was supposed to be 2-way.
Hold on, Booth. Hold right there for 1 second, because I like to acknowledge people when they hit the chat room, especially when it's about a guest. And Les Miller says, "Sup, Booth?"
Les, my brother.
So because I don't want them to jump back out and think that we're not acknowledging them. So go ahead. Yeah, I want to let them know. I let them know, Les. I let them know.
Yeah. What up, Les? So the busing, the white students or the white families, they did not want their children to be bused into the black communities to those few schools like a Midwood and Erasmus and schools like that. So what they did was they did something called white flight. So they either moved to the suburbs in New Jersey, or they went to private schools. They had the resources to build private schools and Catholic schools and schools of that nature. So imagine leaving your sort of your impoverished neighborhood, especially like Bedford-Stuyvesant at the time in the 70s was ranked number 2 as the worst neighborhood in the country.
Wow.
So this was crazy. And so, back then you had gangs, you had poverty, you had just a lot of, social injustice. And you leave in the gangs, then you get on these buses at 12 and 13 years old, and you're talking about New York City public transportation with strangers, adults, who knows what could have been on that bus. Right. But you're on that bus and you ride in a 2-fare zone to go to a high school where they were waiting with baseball bats and everything to hurt you. Wow. And then we had to compete and play ball at a very high level, which we did, despite all the craziness.
For that school.
74, Lafayette High School, which was known as one of the most racist high schools, Bensonhurst, but they were the number 1 high school team in the country.
Right.
In 74. And then in 75, the very next year, Canarsie High School, which was also a lot of racial conflict there, was the number one high school in the country the very next year.
So I got to ask you something with this, right? Because now you're playing for a school that doesn't like you, right? Exactly. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Okay, so what was it like in the games? You know what I'm saying? So now you're going to play the game and you're representing the school. What was it? I mean, did they treat you any different or anything because you were representing the school team, or was it just like nigga?
But it was definitely cheering for us without question.
Okay.
Definitely cheering for us. Very proud that we were out there winning games. All these schools: South Shore, Canarsie, Lafayette, New Utrecht. But the interesting thing was, and you'll hear with some of the testimony in the film, guys were saying, "Man, you were chasing me home every day after practice, and then you come into my game cheering for me, or you're in my classroom,
right?
Saying, what's up?" Yes, that was happening.
Oh, I just want to acknowledge Eric Short said, my point guard, Alfonso Solomon said, hey, Booth. Yeah, people are feeling you right now. That was your people signing in.
Eric, so let me just say real quick, Eric Short is one of the producers of the film, and he's our curator. So
right,
Eric is phenomenal in grabbing a lot of the data and the information we needed to tell the story. But Eric also was a phenomenal player back in the day as well. And he came from Bedford-Stuyvesant over to Midwood High School, and he's one of the top players in Brooklyn. Les Miller was one of the top players the senior year out of Brooklyn Tech. So these are good guys. Al Solomon went to high school with me, so he's probably feeling that South Shore racial thing that I'm talking about.
And now you can talk about it in the chat room if you want. We see you.
Okay.
So I just want to swing back just a little bit. So the people that were cheering for you at the game were the people that were chasing you.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes. Yes, because the thing was, it's sort of like in today's society. As long as we're entertaining you, whether it's on the field or in a concert or something to that effect, we're good with you. I mean, Spike Lee caught it real well and Do the Right Thing.
Come on.
That one scene where he said, who's your favorite baseball player? Who's your favorite basketball player? And he says, why are they not niggas? He said, they're different. So for the moment in time when you were an athlete, you were considered different.
Yep.
Now the other interesting thing was those guys that were not bused and they were playing in their communities, but they still had to go out to those communities, and they were fearful that they would get hurt. So they always stuck together. Nobody moved as one. You always moved in groups.
So now this sort of brings up an interesting question. I got to hit you now because now you're bringing something up. So now you're with the white school.
Yep.
You're playing a black school.
Yep.
And they're playing at your school.
Yep.
How does that work out? Because now, now they want to chase them too. Like, how does that work? I'm ready.
Right. It's the intimidation factor, right? So typically, and the games back in those days were at night. So they weren't day games. A lot of the games were at night. A lot of the games happened, 6, 7 o'clock at night until I think like after 82, 83, they started going to day games. There was too many issues. But those kids would have to get on public transportation. Yep. Luckily, it was in the daytime, 3:30. They travel to the school that they got to play at. And then all of a sudden, they get through the game, but now they got to go home. But they'll tell you, and you'll hear this on the film, we said, listen, if you're going to come out there, it's going to be at least 10 or 12 of us. And you get some spectators too. So people were prepared that if they went to Lafayette or if they went to New Utrecht, that something may go down. And if something goes down, then they're prepared to fight their way back home.
Wow.
I recall in 10th grade, we went to New Utrecht, and we took a bus way out there. Then ultimately we had to take a train, but we had to take the bus to the train out there in Bay Ridge somewhere. We're waiting on a bus stop, and some white guys jumped out a van with crowbars ready to chase. We 14 years old, 15 years old. Chased us into a pharmacy. We in a pharmacy. We on the floor hiding. The store owner said, "What are y'all doing?" Now you see about 8, 9 black kids hiding in the store.
Sure.
And so he took us. He said, "They're trying to kill us. They're trying to beat us up." So we go out, and they came up and got bless this man, he defended us. He said, y'all leave them alone. They just trying to go to a game. Y'all leave them alone. And so they said, oh, we just want to scare them. So they scared us. And we get to the game. We hoop. We beat them. And then we told Coach, yo, we ain't taking the train back home. It's nighttime now. Mm-hmm. And so Coach, God, I love this guy. He put us in his car, like 8 of us. And another coach took another 5 or 6 of us.
Wow.
And we got back to the hood. Wow. And this is the type of thing that was just a part of the process. But what's sad about it is, you know, when I reflect that when I left my junior high school, I didn't step foot on that ground until 30 years later.
Wow.
Because the racism was so in my core, it hurt me so much that I didn't ever want to step foot on that school. I didn't care about that school, you know, and I've had more stories, just my own personal stories, but I wanted to bring the fellas in and tell their perspectives as well. And we got it. Wow. And we got all that. So that was adversity. But then you got to go home, and now you got the Tomahawks, the Jolly Stompers.
Yep. Now you're back with
talk about it. Yeah, talk about it.
You got them.
Yep.
Now, fortunately, if you could hoop and you was committed, they left you alone. They were your protectors. They were your support. So when we talk about ball side middle, we talk about that ball saving our life. It gave us a distraction from, you know, not knowing we were poor, not knowing we didn't have food in our stomach, not, you know, dealing with the racism. We just kept balling.
Wow.
We just kept going because the ball was distracting us. The ball was giving us something to do. It was giving us a purpose. But then on the side, was those gang members protecting us. Of course, we had community coaches, which we see today. We don't have it.
Yep.
There's very few community coaches out there. We had swarms of community coaches, guys that were not doing this for a Nike deal or Adidas deal. They were just doing this because they cared.
Talk about
and so we want to celebrate their lives. Some are here and some are not here anymore.
Wow.
So that was important. But that side support was ridiculous. And then when you go down the middle is driving it home. And that's what's within your DNA, your core. It stays with you. And as long as it stays with you, you understand that ball can take you places. It can take you all over the country. Like Stan, full scholarship, was able to go out and play all over the place. And that's why he's able to come back to the community and do things, because he saw how other people in this world were living. We all took that ball places, or it took us to places, and we come back and we're able to share that. So ball side middle, although a basketball drill in Brooklyn, is really how we are metaphorically kind of sharing our stories during that period.
Yes, I just share a story, Craig. We won a Christmas tournament, and it was in Bensonhurst. And I remember being chased out of that gym onto a bus, me and my team, and then the folks were chasing us down the street. They actually threw bottles onto the bus, and we couldn't get out. The cops came. Instead of the cops really going after the crowd, they was looking at us like we were doing something wrong. And we were literally running for our lives. You know, so you tell the truth, Craig. I remember that. It was crazy.
Crazy. And you got to think about how young you were, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, you think about that. Like you said the exact words that I say all the time. We was running for our lives.
Yeah.
We really felt death. We felt we were going to get killed.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Now, I had to deal with that every day from 7th grade, 8th grade, all the way through 12th grade.
Right.
Wow.
And it's documented in 1980, there was a riot, many riots in 1980, because they had proposed not to have sports in school. I don't know if you remember that, Stan.
Right.
In the fall, they said we didn't have the budget. And they were going to cut sports. And of course, the entire community, all the high schools, decided to walk out as a sign of protest.
Awesome.
So the first day of protest at South Shore was quiet. Second day, protests happening in South Shore. The front of the school was all white, and the back of the school was all black. So if you were black, you did not go through the front of the school. And if you were white, you did not go through the back of the school.
Wow.
It was territorial. Now that's sad. You're in a high school, you can't walk through the front doors, because if you went through the front doors, it had to be very early in the morning before the first period. But after the first period, like say it was your lunch break, you want to go across the street to Burger King, you couldn't do that because you had a risk of being jumped. So when we had the riot, they started beating up females, sisters.
Wow.
Sisters were getting beat up. and it became a big thing. They shut our school down for 2 days.
Wow.
And so these are things that were just like the community, the neighborhoods. So not even the kids in the school weren't as violent because they didn't want to fight every day. But the neighborhood, oh my God.
That's right.
The grown folk.
Yeah.
The grown folk, 25, 30-year-old people, grown men, get out of here, nigga.
Yeah.
They were so fearful of us moving into their communities.
You know what's
And
crazy
ultimately,
about that? That you brought that up. I wanna talk to you about that real quick, because you're absolutely right. Because I suffered the same thing in the Bronx. I went to Christopher Columbus High School in the Bronx, and that was what are those people? The Italians and the Croatians and another Albanians, right? And they were all up there, and I was coming out of the South Bronx to go to school up there. And you're absolutely right. And it struck a thing with me because, you know, there were the kids in the school that were doing things. You know what I'm saying? And I was adamant about I was very, passionate about racism.
Right.
So I would fight, you know, pretty much daily, you know what I'm saying, to fight against racism, because all I knew how to do was fight, because I came from the South Bronx, you know. So what ended up happening was, and this is documented in '84, the entire neighborhood came to kill me. When I walked out of the school, and you're right, it was the neighborhood. It wasn't the kids in the school.
Right.
I'm looking at adults pulled up in cars, right? And I'm sitting there going, all this for me? Like the whole block was full of people that were there like, we're going to get him because he's a problem.
Right.
Because I'm beating up the kids in the school. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So now I called, I was part of the Zulu Nation. So I called Bambaataa. I was like, listen, man, I got a problem up here, right? So a bunch of Zulu came, right? And then I called my father, right? My father was OD gangster. I said, Dad, they're trying to kill me out here. So what ended up happening, it was, to make the story short, it was one block. All of the neighborhood was in the block. Then the Zulu Nation was outside of that. And then the police was outside of that, right? And then my father, they let my father drive down the block with 5 cars with men with shotguns. And he was like, let my son out of the effing school. And that was the deal. And you're so right. It wasn't the kids in the school.
Yeah.
It was the community, adults.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so that's terrifying. I totally identify what you're saying.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so us, that part of the Ballside Middle story is to say that we know today a lot of young men and women are dealing with Black Lives Matter and those type of issues. We found through our community coaches, community centers, after school center, night center, our teams, tournaments, people running grassroots events for us, and really some of us having some opportunity to leave New York here and there to play, but 95% of what we did was in the borough of Brooklyn. Some of us every once in a while went to Manhattan or Queens for competition, but within our borough, we were able to find outlets. And it wasn't only just basketball. There was, just the way we played, the way we, created imagination, whether it was Skelly or marbles or double
man. Wow, talk about it. Yep.
Yeah, we just kind of kept busy. And I am a product of Nycha. I lived in the Brevoort houses and I lived in the Vanderbilt houses.
Okay.
So I grew up, from baby through Nycha. And my experiences in Nycha were I could just always remember the kids just hanging out in front of the building and then just creating opportunities and games and playing ball. The first time I played ball was in a garbage can.
Yep.
So, when you think about the way we grew up and the way we just kind of got through, we didn't know we were poor because everybody was feeling the same thing. We all had 1 or 2 pair of sneakers. We all, jumped fences. We all,
So it brings me to a question, right? When did you move out of Nycha?
I moved out of Nycha, well, when I moved to Linden Plaza in East New York, it was sort of like an apartment building, but it still felt like Nycha. Okay. So because there was a ton of kids in this building. So
what was the differences that in services in Nycha, right? So now you're living in Nycha. So we're talking about the 70s when you was living in Nycha. So were the services different? Did they maintain the apartments? Like, what was that like, the environment?
I think our apartments were fine. We didn't have any issues, hot water or heat.
Yeah.
I never recall any issues of that nature. The laundry room was safe. We went down to the basement, washed our clothes. There was no problem.
Paint job
The
every
elevator
3
would
years.
break every once in a while. But
Totally
that was
different.
on us.
Yep.
That was us playing with the elevator too much. But it wasn't necessarily that. I would say when I got older and I was a young adult and I would go into Nycha, I started seeing, right after the crack epidemic, I started seeing a lot more deterioration.
Yeah.
Of
Yep.
the projects,
Yeah.
that's what we call them, the projects.
Right.
With stuff going on in the hallways, and it was less supervised. I just think our parents in the community, no matter where we live, we cared about our facilities. You could not piss in the hallway. You could not do those things because somebody's mother's gonna slap you upside your head
Yeah.
Right.
and then tell your mom.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know
That's
what
right.
I'm saying?
It's also a major. It's also a major disinvestment throughout the decades that has caused the deterioration of public housing. Because yes, we did. Like you said, I grew up in public housing too, in the South Bronx, in McKinley houses, and it was clean. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And everybody took. It was community. Everybody took care of one another and looked out for one another. Your babysitter, even though you was a young kid, but we had a babysitter because my mother didn't want us to be in the house alone. So we had Miss Blunt, God rest her soul.
Right.
We would go over there. My brother and I, we were in junior high school and elementary and had a babysitter. So while my parents were working, but it was community. So just the disinvestment has really hurt Nycha. And as you said, Mr. Booth, just the fact that the parents and we took care of our community, right? We didn't allow all of this to happen.
Right.
Like you couldn't even play in the grass,
Right.
and all of that stuff. But now it's like whatever you want to do, you do. But I still live in public housing in another development now, but the whole thing is we have to take back our communities ourselves as residents, you know what I'm saying, and become organized and with other organizations,
Right.
and also fight for the funding, because the disinvestment is what really deteriorated our homes.
I just remember going to my cousin
And I think
Wally's
we're gonna
house.
touch that.
I would go to my cousin Wally's house. He lived in Wagner on First Avenue. And listen, there was no problem with heat.
Right, yeah.
They had to leave the windows open. You know what I
I got
mean?
too much heat now.
Actually, the radiators were so hot. You have to be careful to touch
Yeah,
it.
yeah. That's still in some places. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Some places
But
and some
no,
don't have heat.
You said important words like community,
Right.
and I think that one of the messages we intend to leave at the end of this 4-part documentary is about how we as a community
Yeah.
lived and how we were able to take care of ourselves, and whether that community was us going into a community of hate, and how we as students, not just athletes, students stuck together
Right.
to survive that. We built a community to say nobody's getting left behind.
Right.
Everybody runs or everybody stays and fights.
Yeah.
When we're back home, the gang community really didn't bother us athletes because they said these guys got promised they're gonna make it.
Right.
I know Stan lived in one of the most craziest
Yes.
projects that we were all afraid to go to.
Yeah, Lafayette Gardens was no joke at all. You're right, Craig. You're right.
Lafayette Gardens was like, I went to a party at LG. I stayed like 10 minutes and I was gone. I was so afraid. I said, nah, this might not be for me.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
So that community thing, I think, is what we want to try to kind of send that message. Take pride in your community.
Exactly.
Let's rebuild the community.
Yeah.
And investing is important because we had PAL.
Right.
My first basketball coach was a white Irish cop. He was a cop. I was 10 years old, New York City cop. And he invested his time into our community at Foster Park. And he gave me opportunities that I wish I could run into this man and thank him.
Wow.
But again, what happened to PALs? They kind of dissipated. Then everything else is about you got to pay money to go to a recreation center.
Exactly.
You got to pay money to do this. You got to pay money for everything.
Yeah.
Where was the investment in the sponsors? All of that stuff went away.
Even our
Right,
community
right.
centers in Nycha, a lot of them are closed or we can't even. Before this pandemic, we couldn't access it for our kids. But I have a question for you, okay?
Sure.
So I wanted to know, how has this COVID-19 pandemic impacted the way you are putting together this masterly documentary?
Oh, great question. So, we're resilient people. And again, we prayed on coming to Brooklyn, and we made, I think, about 5 or 6 trips back home to Brooklyn. I now live in Northern Virginia, outside of DC. And we came back, and it was overwhelming response. I know when we interviewed Stan, it was just like he didn't even know we were in town, and he got a quick call.
Yep.
He said,
Okay.
"Man, I'm there. I'm there."
Right there, right in the morning. Yep.
So that type of responsiveness that we got from the brothers that actually went through this with us in that era, and they were just so willing to talk, and nobody was in there talking about how many points they scored,
Right.
or who they beat, or who was the best player. They just came to share something that we opened up their minds to say, reflect back from the age of 12 to 18, 19, just think about those years and think about what the community was like and what we all went through. And when people had that opportunity just to share a little bit, it was overwhelming. So the pandemic played zero part in us being able to get people to get in front of the camera and tell stories.
Awesome.
Where
Okay.
it did restrict us, though, is when we went to, we wanted to go deeper into certain communities and maybe get perspectives of strangers that we didn't know but lived in that era.
Okay.
And I think we only were able to get like 1 or 2 old heads, as we would call them, guys that's in their late 60s, 70s that remember us when we were little and were able to share some perspective. But we really kind of had to distance ourselves. We did a lot of shooting early in the mornings.
Okay.
We did have some afternoon shootings, but most of the filming was done early before people was really coming outside. We try to social distance as best we can. We broke a rule or 2. I'm not gonna lie, because you'll see it in the film. We're next to each other a little bit, but no one got sick from what we've done.
Praise God.
Everybody's healthy. My crew is healthy, and I thank God for that, because we just prayed on it. And God knows the importance, I believe, the importance of this story. And I'm no preacher, I'm no pastor.
Right.
I'm just a spiritual man that believes, in the man upstairs.
Okay.
And some of these things happen without your control.
That's right.
But he provided us with an overwhelming response. And the COVID thing is just like a game. If they said COVID was on the court, we'd be like, all right, we playing anyway. So
Right.
Okay.
go on the
Okay.
court, we shovel in the snow.
That's right. That's right.
All right.
We went and did our thing.
Thank you.
So, Claire, can you tell us a little bit about the flavor of the games in the Nycha developments? How big those games were and how the community came out? Give them a little bit of that.
No, absolutely. So one of the things we're going to focus on early is a tournament called Citywide. And Citywide was a youth tournament that was right across the street from Albany Projects and at St. John's Recreation Center, which was the second recreation center built in New York City after St. Mary's Recreation Center in the Bronx. And so it was mimicked and modeled after that in the 1950s. And Citywide was my first experience of playing organized tournaments with hundreds of kids.
Awesome.
And each borough had a citywide tournament, and then the winners would meet and play ultimately at Madison Square Garden. It was just that supported, that sponsored. We're also going to talk about Brevoort houses, and Brevoort had one of the top tournaments in the country called the Brevoort Sports Foundation. And that was the only tournament at the time, and there may be some other smaller ones, but as far as exposure and big, the Brevoort tournament was a tournament inside the projects. It was the only tournament that was in the projects. Most of the tournaments were like on the exterior or like at St. John's, it was across the street. This was inside the project with lights at night.
Okay.
And
Those
didn't hear
courts.
about anybody get shot.
Those basketball courts.
Yeah, those guys at the Brevoort Coliseum. And it was phenomenal. I mean, Eric Short played in that, did very well. And he's one of the poster guys in it. But at the end of the day, it was such a phenomenal environment. Teams from Baltimore, Philadelphia would come in and compete against our best. And that Brevoort, they used to have the Harlem Wizards there. They had halftime shows. They had play-by-play. They had food in this small little Coliseum. and it became such a big thing for New York City housing. Well,
Wow.
how did it fall apart? People stopped sponsoring it. They
Yeah.
stopped investing in it, and it fell apart. It only lasted about 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
Then we had Lafayette Gardens, another one, down in the community, became a huge tournament. It was sort of one of our end of summer tournaments. It wasn't in the beginning of summer, it was more towards the middle to the end. But the competition and the talent there, and nobody cared about what was going on at night across the street.
Right.
Everybody went there and balled. It was a place where we all convened. So you had, the projects or the New York City public housing.
Yeah.
Thankfully, every single one had a court or some sort of playground.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, it was an opportunity to distract us and give us something to do for hours at a time. I would leave my house and be in a park from like 7, 8 in the morning to like 4 or 5 in the afternoon, just because, and all I needed was a honey bun and a Pepsi, and I was good. Right. And I could stay there all day. And so that experience was beautiful. But then again, I sometimes wonder that, did they create all these parks and all of these different, public housing so they could see where we're all at? Because it's an easy place to surveil everybody, right? Everybody's in the park.
Right.
Everything that's going to go on is going to go on in that park. So maybe that was a good, but if it worked for surveillance or if it worked for us to have something to do, it was a win-win.
I can give you a little history on that. Actually,
Sure.
the way that the housing developments were developed, they called them towers in the park, right? So when we were coming out of the tenement phases, right? Because in the 30s, when they started building these buildings, the tenements were right on the street. The stoop was right on the street. But if you notice, most developments, you have to go into the development to go into the building. So the concept was, I believe, a French designer's concept, and it's called the actual term is towers in the park. So it was always like that. You know what I'm saying? That they deliberately did build it like that. You know what I'm saying? And I guess the result was, we were able to see you. We were able to monitor you at all times. But chat room is live for you. Kim said, she said, what are your future plans? Go.
Oh, great. So we're in editing now for the documentary. Our goal is to do a couple of things before we get to distribution. One, we're going to be producing some timeouts. They're like little shorts from the documentary. Okay. So when we see very eye-opening stories, we've kind of pulled them out and expanded upon, because obviously we have so much content, we can't give it the attention that we want. So we pull it out and we call it timeout, and we present that. Our first timeout will be dropping very soon. I can't tell you.
Okay.
It could be dropping hours or it could be dropping in a day, but I think it's going to be dropping in hours because they're up in the editing room right now and completing the final touches on the first time out, which I think will be compelling. And I think you all will be very pleased with the story that we're going to present. Then we're also going to produce another couple of timeouts between now and the end of the year. And our goal is to complete the editing by mid-January. And we are going to seek distribution. So we've had a preliminary conversation with the NBA because they saw the trailer and they liked it. So hopefully we can share the documentary with them first and see if they would be interested.
Awesome.
It would be awesome to be like The Last Dance, right? NBA backs it, ESPN shows it for a little while, and then it sits on Netflix, right? That would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be
but,
great.
I'm learning this whole distribution game.
Right.
But the great thing about it, one of our partners is a guy I used to work with, former CEO of a Fortune 50, and he's very business astute. Understands capital markets and all that other good stuff, and has a lot of good friends in Hollywood. So we kind of taken a little bit of a corporate route to kind of present our film. Awesome. And so that's the plan there. And then afterwards, we have so many people that reached out to us to say, what's the next story or what's the next documentary? Right. I'll tell you this, we probably won't do a 4-hour documentary going forward, probably just stick within the 30-minute to 1 hour. But we're looking at the borough of Queens, we're looking at Manhattan, we're looking at the Bronx. We want to give each borough some of the same opportunities for that particular era and showcase those eras.
Awesome.
And then the other thing we want to do is we want to do some feature films. So we have a couple of characters or people that's coming out of the documentary that are like Coach Carter type people, or there's Glory Days type stories.
Wow.
And we want to be able to maybe, do a feature film. So I fell into this filmmaking stuff. I am a natural storyteller. I tell stories all day.
Okay.
But I would love to just continue to make more films.
Wow.
That is awesome.
How long would the timeout that will drop eventually, the first one, how long would it
I
be?
think it's about 14 or 15 minutes.
Okay, cool.
That's cool. All right.
Yeah, and I think it's a very compelling story. And I tell you, when we dropped the trailer, and if you haven't seen the
I've
trailer, it's
seen
on
it.
YouTube, Ballside
I've
Middle,
seen it, yeah.
official trailer. It's 2.5 minutes. I cried when I first seen the trailer completed by the editing team because it nailed sort of the sentiments of what we're talking about.
Awesome.
And then when we laid down the first opening of the documentary, we have them in 4 episodes. We're calling them 4 quarters, simulating a basketball game. And the first quarter, I got emotional again. There's parts of this thing, because it's so rooted in my core. And even though I've been on location, I've been interviewing, I'm narrating, I'm filming, and I've lived it. But to see it come together in a cinematography sort of way, it's compelling. It's
Awesome.
moving. So, but the great thing I think most people appreciate about the documentary, and this is where the negotiation on the distribution and all that is the music. We're bringing back the music from the 70s and 80s.
Okay.
And Craig, you can do that without, there's no copyright issues, no
Yeah,
problems?
there is.
Yeah, they're getting the
there
licensing.
is- You can either license the music, you can actually sample the music, but you have to negotiate with the publishing arm, and so it could be expensive and it could be not expensive. Depends on the artist and the publisher.
But it's so worth it. It's so worth it for this. It's
Right,
so
because
worth
the
it.
music plays a big part of the story. You got it correct. Yep.
Absolutely, it's worth it. I mean, to hear Rock Creek Park or to hear happy music, stuff like that, it's worth it. And then it goes with the stories and the introduction. Because think about our movies back in those days, whether it's Shaft or Slaughter or Coffee or Foxy Brown.
Ooh, come
the
on.
music's coming.
Pam Grier.
Yeah, the music was it, baby.
Exactly. You need that music, and so
He didn't say Dolomite, right? Tell him right.
Dolomite.
Come on, baby. You can't forget about Dolomite, man.
He's going back now.
He did that himself. Man did it himself.
Exactly, right. So that's what we're going to try, attempt to do, and hopefully the distributor sees the importance of the music and will make that investment in the music. So, we initially was going to do it without, with our own original music or find, free music out there. But we were advised to just go for it. And then we think we got a hot, pretty epic story. And we believe that anybody that wants to be a part of this and partner with this film, that they would want to keep that music.
Okay.
Yeah, and without that music, it would taint the authenticity.
A little bit,
You know what I mean? Because the music is what it is. That was the soundtrack to our lives. Right there, so
and not to mention during the games themselves, it's often a DJ. So while you're playing, the music will be playing while we're playing ball. The music was part of the whole thing. So yeah, you got to have the music. That played a big part.
How can you talk about Brooklyn in the 70s and not have Love Is a Message?
Right. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's not. It's just not possible. You know what I'm saying? That was the soundtrack to our lives, baby.
Yeah.
Right.
We was doing that, but we're at the hour, and it was a very easy hour and very entertaining. I got to tell you, bro. I am so, glad that you're telling this story, and when they brought it to me, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know where the story was going. I knew it was a basketball story, and I'm like, all right. And then what I'm enjoying is I became engulfed in the story, and I haven't even seen the story.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that means it's a great story. When you can talk about the story and it's entertaining, then damn, what's going to be on film must be crazy.
So real quick, Craig, can you tell folks some of the NBA ball players that came out of Brooklyn that's featured in your documentary?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. So there were 30 guys that played in the NBA in New York during that era. Just to name a few real quick, we had a Hall of Famer in Chris Mullin and Bernard
Played
King.
against him. Mm-hmm.
We had the 2 top high school players in the country at one time, Dwayne Pearl Washington and Albert King.
Okay.
We had NBA players that we got on camera: Rolando Blackman, Stu Granger, Jerry Ice Reynolds, John Sally.
Yeah.
John Sally.
Yes. Brooklyn.
Sally came through. Jeff Houston. So we kind of wanted to bring in some guys that normally don't get camera time, and guys that World Be Free and all those guys are available. But we wanted to kind of go in a little bit different angle. We'll mention everybody from Sam Worthing to World Be Free, Fly Williams. All those guys will get their props in the documentary, which is really in our fourth part. But at the end of the day, when you see the Rolando Blackman stuff, man, he's a deep brother, and his passion about how he lived and what he went through in Brooklyn. And we're not talking about none of their NBA stats. We're talking about their youth, how they grew up in Brooklyn, and that's important.
Powerful.
So I love it. Yeah, but we got 30 guys, that really did their thing. Hall
That's
of Fame.
phenomenal.
He's a Hall of Famer. Connie Hawkins,
man, wow.
Roger Brown, they all were Hall of Famers. They all played in the NBA.
I'm telling you, it's a beautiful fraternity. Once Craig created, I find myself every day going on Facebook and looking at the old pictures and hearing the stories. It really is a beautiful community, like a fraternity. Yes, I'm thankful, Craig, that you created that, because it really brings all of us together and have us share what we all shared as kids.
It's awesome.
I would say, Stan, I think I opened the door and y'all all went through.
Right.
And I don't want to take full credit for it. I just think I opened the door because it's heavy on my heart to tell the story about Stan, like you and I, we've done things on the music side.
Sure.
I mean, I got so many relationships with all of y'all. And it's like hundreds of you guys I have relationships with. So that's why I say I'm going to bring my boys and some female. We talk about cheerleaders. We got the
that's right.
Don't forget them, right?
Yep.
Cheerleaders. We talk about the Dutchmen. Those girls, in our opinion, was doing their thing in the 70s. So, But yeah, it was just really opening up the door and providing the opportunity for you guys to just say, wow, that was a special time in our lives.
Wow.
Yeah, that is wow. I can't wait. I can't wait.
So if I could just give a shameless plug,
please.
Our website, www.ballsidemiddledoc.com.
Can you say it again? My phone rang. Go again.
C.com.
Say it one more time because my phone rang. Say it again.
Sure. Ballside Middle DOC, one word, ballsidemiddledoc.com. And then our YouTube is Ballside Middle. And our Instagram is Ballside Middle Doc. And then we have, if you want to get Ballside Middle gear, one of our Brooklyn Knights former players, Rick Davis, is doing our gear. It's called ballsidegear.com.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, there it is. Listen, big shout out once again. Brother Booth, it has been a pleasure.
Yes.
Thanks, Craig.
You really made this kind of easy. Yeah. Al Solomon said, thank you, Booth. Someone text Apache James Brown, loves the message. Ruckus in Harlem, I'm seeing in the chat room. Les Miller's like, my dude. Kim's like, the music was lit. Eric Short, grateful. Healthy community interaction. I mean, you had a lot of people responding to you in the chat. I know you can't see it, but I can see it. And they've been on here supporting you for the last hour, bro. So listen, You're welcome to come back anytime.
Yeah, Craig. I'm gonna be calling you. When the documentary drops, you got to come back on.
Yeah.
Okay, during the release, let's promote it right here.
Yeah, let's go on and promote it, man, and let's do what we can to support the movie, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having me, and keep doing what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Very positive program, and I'm gonna be tuning in.
And I'm looking forward to that masterly, as I said, masterly film. So that's going to be powerful. A little bit I've seen so far. It's really
That's great.
It's going to take a lot of people back.
Yeah.
All right, Booth Box, my man. All right, gang. That was a really quick hour.
Yeah.
That was a really
That was good just now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just pretty much exemplify the whole Brooklyn culture, which I love.
Yeah,
I went to high school in Brooklyn, so I could connect to some of the stuff
right
saying.
Yeah.
I
enjoy that.
I did.
You know, it was fun.
Yeah.
That was my days.
I didn't
a little
know
bit,
it was
little bit.
Took us back in time.
Yeah.
Woo, boy, did he? So,
Kind of hard to come back now, right?
yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you know, when something's so dope, like you don't want, you know, like you don't want to open for somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like you felt like
It was good.
you know. Now I'm closing for him, and I'm like I'm speechless. You know what I mean? It was just like that. So what do we got going on next week, guys? What's the conversation? Any guests we have coming in? I just want to kind of do a quick tease thing. If we have any guests coming in, just kind of mention it now. Because now we're on these multiple platforms. It's kind of all happening.
Not yet, but we'll be promoting something during the week. But yeah.
Okay,
Some
fair
things
enough.
In the works. Some things in the works.
And guys, just make sure that check out the like little commercials that we're doing now. That we're starting to promote the show and all of that stuff. And George May just popped in. He said Booth is doing it. That's George May.
Yeah.
All right, and listen. Anything you guys are doing this week that you want to promote?
Well, I just want folks again to tune in to the tenant T10 tomorrow. I'm going to read out the number one more time.
Yep.
It is you dial 929-436-2866.
And it's the Zoom meeting,
It's
right?
a Zoom meeting, right? Okay. The meeting ID is 862-3944-3810. The password is 892114. We're going to have Kristen Hackett explaining what the blueprint really is about. You know, so please come on, get involved because this is serious. You know, they really trying to end public housing for real.
Okay, so it's not the Jay-Z blueprint.
No, it's not the Jay-Z. It's not the Jay-Z blueprint. No. It's not Hova. It
ain't Hov, baby.
It's Greg Russ. So we need to really stop this, and we have a chance to stop it. And I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Well, fair enough. Well, all right. Anything going on with you, Shana-Kay, who's been very quiet?
Well, next week is going to be like my official last week of school.
Oh, well,
So I'm going to be
congratulations.
graduating.
Yes.
Ooh, Shana-Kay. Hold on, wait. I don't think I should clap for that.
We gotta do
Hold on, wait.
that.
I don't think I should clap for that. Hold on for one second.
Hope Shannon stays with us.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You
been the
know.
absolute best intern we could possibly have.
Yeah, I don't know if I should be
so
clapping for your
much.
departure because it might mean you're departing from us.
Oh,
So-
no, I would never depart
She'll
from
be
you guys.
around.
I had so much fun. This
And
is a
she's
very
with
nice
Stan,
journey
so-
with you guys. I learned a whole lot.
Yeah, good.
I love it.
Okay, all right. So, you know, after school, you're welcome to come back. That's what internships are about,
Yeah.
really. Right? You connect with, you know, in the professional world, and the professional world goes, come on, let's run. You know what I'm saying? And then
Right.
it turns into something. So,
Yeah.
you know, don't be a stranger. Saundrea, what you got going on?
Yeah, and just, I know I'm going to see her because when I did my internship in 2017 with the nursing home, I stayed on until the pandemic. And I still virtually do some work with the pastoral services department. So when you are doing something and you find a love for people and the team is powerful, it's like, whenever you could come through, we would appreciate it. Nothing much, just my same old, but tomorrow I will be... we having our first social justice committee meeting on the community board 8, and I'm the co-chair, so our first meeting is 6:30. So that's basically it, and you know, just some more stuff that we'll be talking about on Sunday.
I was thinking about, you know, because now we're going into the holidays, we're going into Christmas and stuff, and normally what I do is I take off for Christmas, and you know, and I call that the end of the season, right?
Right.
But I ain't feeling that this year. This year we gonna work through Christmas. This year we gonna celebrate Christmas on the air with people.
I'm with that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We gonna celebrate New Year's on the air with people.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Let me look at this calendar now. What days for Sunday?
we gonna have a One Nycha Christmas
Sunday?
party
Let's see
on
what's-
the air with the
All right
people.
now.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, that's what we're gonna do. This year I'm not taking off. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying? I really
that's
wanna.
cool.
I wanna be with everybody. You know, during this time, and you know, y'all can hit the chat room or whatever. But even more so, participate in the party that we're doing. I can't guarantee you that the conversation will be 100% coherent, or even about Nycha. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you might just want to do something light. You know, we're just talking about Christmas and what Christmas was like in Nycha. And,
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And just like, let's go back and have a little bit of fun. You know what I'm saying?
all
And then,
for it.
and then we'll do New Year's. You know, celebrate New Year's. I'll figure out how to do that. You know, I would actually like to, you know, do probably a New Year's Eve show. I just got to figure out how to do it. You know what
Okay.
I'm saying? And sort of bring all the shows in and kind
I
of
was gonna say
rotate people
which
out.
show, right, yeah,
Yeah,
talking
we'll do
about
like
different shows,
we'll
yeah.
bring everybody in. You know what
Wow,
I'm saying?
that'd
We'll
be
just kinda,
different.
yeah.
Okay.
And just kind of rotate everybody in and out. You know what I'm saying? We do a champagne toast at 12 o'clock, whatever.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And we'll go on. Let's say maybe about 10, and we'll rock from like 10 till midnight, and celebrate New Year's with all of our shows.
That's interesting.
You know what I'm saying?
It's just pretty much like wrapping up the whole year, which is a good concept. I love it.
Yeah. Let's do that. Let's wrap up the whole year.
He's thinking out loud. It's okay. We'll see what happens. Let's
And then
see what
after that,
But
I'm
it's
gonna have
organic.
and then I'm gonna have my birthday party January 2nd. Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
Okay. I'm looking at calendars now.
I'm having that on air too. So.
That's a Saturday. All right.
Yeah. All right. So he said, let's have a rockin' eve. That's right. That's what we're gonna do, Kim. We're gonna rock out. So listen, this is One Nycha. We had a great time. It was a great show. Next week, same bad time, same bad channel.
Look out for the countdown.
4 o'clock. And now we have a countdown clock. So you guys will probably get a notification about 15